Okay, so welcome back to the class. So today we will be starting how to create the sparks. The very first thing, let us first create the basic sparks. Once we create the sparks, then we are going to change its color. Okay, so first let us create how to emit sparks from the subject. So here let me take one emitter. So I'm going to hold H and left mouse button. I'm going back to dynamics, go to particles, create emitter, reset everything, and then I'm going to hit create. So let us take some 500 frames, and here I'm going to take playback speed as max real time and start emitting the particles. So as it is omni, all the particles are emitted in all the directions. So let me go to emitter, change this emitter to directional and use some 250 frames. Afterwards I can again change it. Okay, and instead of X I would like to change it as Y direction, because let us say I want to create some flower pot, fireworks flower pot. If you see that, all the particles will be moving up and again it will be falling down. Okay, so if that is the case, then how to create it? Okay, so all particles are moving up in one direction, and let me give some direction, spread about 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, sorry, 0.35. Okay, so hit reset, and then now if you see, all the particles are moving up in the air. Okay, if you feel like you want to reduce, still reduce about 0.3, so that it will be in more one precise angle. Now all these should go with some speed, so let us give some 8 and some random speed 3. Reset and again playback, because particles emitted from this flower pot model, it emits with very high speed. For that purpose, time being I have given around 8 speed. Come back again down, go back to particle shape, give life span as some random range, give some 8 to 5, max 8 and 5 seconds. So after some time these particles should die. Give some general seeding as some value, so that all the time it starts with a different emission of particle. Okay, then come back to render attributes. Particle render type I am going to make it as streaks. Hit streaks and hit this current render type, you get additional properties. Just play it once, then you can see. So these particles excuse me, these particles will be having now a shape of lines. Streaks means you can give it as a shape of lines. You can increase its width, use color accum, so that color accumulator is going to collect the light from the surroundings on the streaks. And tail fade you can increase, because these are sparks, you won't have tail, so make sure you have straight line. So tail fade as 1. use lighting, you can use this option. With this, select and then hit again. Okay. Now again, if you feel like you want to have very big streaks, you can increase the tail size. Give some 2 units and it will be more big tails. Okay. Now with this, the particles will be, the sparks particle will be under the influence of gravity. So let us go back to fields and add gravity field. Hit reset and then add basic gravity. Now if you see, particles are not moving in much height. Okay, so you can increase the gravity so that more and more gravity will be adding on the sparks. At the same time, to increase the height, either you can decrease the gravity or else you can select this sparks, go to emitter and increase the, almost doubling the speed. Reset and again play. Now if you see, particles are moving up in the air, right? So still you, while playing also, you can reduce its angle so that it won't move much farther distance. Still you can increase its height, maybe around 30, see 30, but let us make some 20, not 30, because we have given let us make 18 only, and this is 8, random speed. Okay. Now let me create one surface over here so that whatever particles have been emitted from the emitter, it starts colliding with the ground, right? So let us make some ground. I'm going back to polygon. I'm creating some plane. Select, give some thickness to the ground. Make it below the origin level, and this you can increase because lot of particles are going to be emitted. So most of the time it should hit the ground, it should not just escape the ground, right? So with this, select it, name, go to outliner, name this as ground. Okay, then delete its history, center, freeze transform. Similarly, I'm going to select the emitter. This is sparks emitter. Let me make it off my caps lock. Sparks emitter. Okay, and these are also sparks parent particle. So these are sparks parent particle. Once these sparks try to hit the ground, then the child particles, that is the smaller particles, should emit from the parent particles. So for that purpose, here I named these primary particles as parent particles. Okay, now with this, just try to emit the particles. to select these particles and then select the ground, go to particles, make collide, go to its option box, reset, and then hit create. Again reset, make sure you hit reset all the time. Whatever minute changes you are doing, it should reset and then play. Otherwise, whatever frame you are in, from that frame only the tweaked, the changed values will be affected. To make it disable, I am going to hit reset so that all the changes will affect from the frame 1 onwards. I again hit. Okay. Okay. Now if I select the ground, go to attribute editor. Here I have got new attribute called geo connector, means geometry connector, the link between the particles and the ground plane. Okay, so here the very first option is tessellation factor. Most of the time it will be 200. Okay, even if you change these values, you won't get much effect in the appearance of the particles. So most of the time it will be of 200. Coming back to resilience, resilience defines after colliding the particles with the ground, with the surface, how much height the particles should bounce. That is defined by the resilience. So by default it is 1. So for that purpose, particles after colliding with the ground, it is moving much height. So I don't want to have that much height. So reduce. While playing also, you can change these values. You can define at what exact height you want to have the particles collision. Okay, you can define it perfectly. After colliding with the ground, how much height it should move. Then friction, if friction is 0, then all the particles, if you see, they are getting slide on the surface. So frictionless. For that purpose, particles are sliding. If I increase friction, then particles start staying at the same position. Okay, so adjust in such a way how you get the behavior. In general, how you get the behavior of the particles after colliding, those values you can give it. Okay, so it's not sliding much. After moving certain distance, it is sticking to the ground position. So it is up to you what value you want to define. These are all not fixed values. So just change, tweak by just seeing in the viewport how the particles are behaving with the ground. Accordingly, you can change the resilience as well as friction. Okay, now let us move to the next part in the next video. Thank you.